Hello and welcome to BQ Prime. You're watching this special with the management of Cochin Shipyard. I have with me Mr. Madhu S. Nair, who is the chairman and managing director at Cochin Shipyard. Mr. Nair, uh, thank you very much for joining us on BQ Prime. Let's start with the performance, and before we go into various platforms that you're working on, FY23 has been a decent year for you. But there has been some misses in terms of some of the orders that you were expecting didn't come through. But you're very optimistic about FY24. What makes you that gives you that optimism?
The FY23, as you rightly said, was a little bit of a disappointment. It was largely from point that we couldn't really execute a few things because some of those pieces didn't fall in together. We had the orders, but then especially because of the geopolitical situation, some of the key equipment did not come in into the shipyard as we expected. But as we are speaking, FY24, both on the shipbuilding and ship repair side, as I said, we already had the book and there's key equipment, everything has fallen in place. So it's a matter of execution. And we feel like, again, Q2 getting into Q3 is when we will, we expect to peak on the execution and then continue it forward. Fair bit of confidence here, both on the shipbuilding side, ship repair side. Also, our one of our subsidiary in Udupi they are also good on the execution side. There are projects which in good execution phase. So altogether positivity on FY24.
Sir, if I'm not wrong, at the end of FY23, you had a total order book of 21,400 crores. How has the order book moved since March end? And what is the kind of order pipeline that you're looking at?
The order book today, after March, it's 22,000 crores as of now. We picked up another order. One major order was again 600 crore order for our subsidiary in Cochin Shipyard Limited. A significant order that Cochin Shipyard Limited was a company which we took over from a private sector shipyard which went bad. But the good part is this order which has come in from a very reputed Norwegian client. It's in the European short sea segment, and it's 6 vessels of a particular type with a further option for another 8 vessels. And this particular company which we are talking about by the name Wilson Brothers in Norway is a company which operates about 130 ships. So for us, it's a very significant break. And orders have also been picked up for our Calcutta subsidiary, electric catamaran vessels, which will be deployed in the inland waterways. So as we are speaking, 22,000 crores is the contracted order book on shipbuilding side. Ship repair, again, there are some significant orders which we have bagged, especially very happy to report that there was a particular re-engineering, which is a significant conversion of a naval project worth upwards of 300 crore rupees, and we have successfully picked up that contract, which will the execution will come over the next 12 to 18 months time. The pipeline looks strong, both on the European commercial functional vessel side and the ongoing defense portfolio. So the defense side, we already bid for a few projects. The OPV projects and the FPV projects have already been bid out. And then there are many orders that's in the pipeline, mid-size and fairly large ones. Large numbers are there, smaller vessels, large numbers, very critical vessels. So all these pipeline looks strong over the next 12 to 18 months on the defense side. And on the European side, the green vessels, we are seeing good traction, and we are engaged with many potential opportunities. Not in a position to discuss at this stage, but hopeful that we should see strong order book coming in.
Sir, let's take the order book for the defense side. You're engaged in fitments of the Vikrant there. By when do you expect that to complete? Because that's, I think, 1,800 odd crores, which is there in pipeline for you. When do you expect the entire thing to be completed?
Vikrant, largely, the vessel would be actually vessel is right now in our dock, and vessel will be launched and sent back to the Navy well before end of this year, and that would give us a fair bit of revenue. There are certain more things what in the parlance is called a few of the mods or modifications, and that will continue a little bit beyond December also. But other than Vikrant, the large naval order book is coming from two large projects. One is the anti-submarine warfare corvettes, the ASW corvettes, of which we are doing eight vessels, and under various stages of execution. So out of those eight vessels, three vessels will get launched. We are given it a target of the 1st of November for launch of three vessels simultaneously, and that would be a big day for us. And then immediately thereafter, another two vessels. It's at an advanced stage of construction, so those goes in. So 8 ASW vessel corvettes are ongoing, and those are all both. The total value is about 6,300 crores.
Hmm.
Then we have 6 next generation missile vessels, both close to 10,000 crores, which is right now in the engineering and critical equipment ordering stage, the key equipment ordering stage. So between the NGMB and the ASW corvettes, 14 vessels altogether, roughly about 16,000 crores of order book on the defense portfolio.
How do you see the timeline for execution for this 14 vessels? Will it be in FY 24 and 25 combined? So your revenue is expected to peak in this area in these years.
Slightly longish than that, but then we'll see continual revenues over the next, say, 5 years coming from these projects, because the ASW projects, the first vessels will get delivered late next year, and then thereafter there will be one vessel coming every 6 months or even shorter. So that would be the ASW execution, because you're aware that shipbuilding follows the process of engineering, getting the equipment, and then building the vessel in series. So the first vessels of the ASW series will start coming out from Q3 of next year. Once the ASW is completed, we or into advanced stage, the next generation missile vessels, the NGMV project, which is in the engineering stage. In the next about 18 to 20 months time, we get in with the construction phase, and the first vessels will come out in 48 months from contract. Contract was in March of this year. So then it would be a series. So the ASW will be continued by the NGMA. The overall timeline would be about close to 7 years. As I said, like over the next 5 years, we'll see peaking of or consistent revenues flowing from these two projects.
Sir, what about the capabilities and capacities? I understand that some capex is also underway, but currently Cochin Shipyard, how many vessels can it produce simultaneously? Whether it's in the heavier class like a aircraft carrier, or for that matter, your ASW and the NG and MV vessels which are there. Can you simultaneously build multiple vessels at the same time?
See, actually, the whole trick is to do multiple vessels with various stages. So, example, today the ASW, as I said, is 3 vessels getting close to launch, another 2 ready for keel laying, another 3 at advanced stage of construction and equipment positioning, NGMB in the engineering stage. But from a construction point of view, at a given point of time, around 12 to 14 vessels under various stages of construction. So along with these naval projects, the non-naval projects, we are building a series of 8 coastal vessels for German clients. So those are also ongoing in parallel. Right now, at the advanced stage of steel fabrication. So when the vessel number 4 and 5 of the ASW goes in, simultaneously there will be vessel number 1 and 2 of the German vessels also along with it. So roughly, if I say anywhere between 10, 12, 14 vessels under various stages of parallel construction.
Sir, from a point of view of capex, you're looking at constructing a dry dock which is capable of managing LNG aircraft carriers and large tankers. When is that expected to be completed? I think if I'm not mistaken, nearly 1800 crores of capex is been planned. So where are we on that, and when is that going to be ready for utilization?
Okay, that project is going to be completed. Let's put it that way. The civil works and the mechanical electrical works. The project will be completed around December of this year.
Hmm.
Thereafter, there's a very large crane over there. That crane is coming from Korea, from Hyundai in Korea. So the crane components or in large component part is ready in Korea and it's getting shipped and reaching Cochin by end of October. So once that crane comes in and the civil structure is completed, we expect the dock to be fully operational by May, June of 2024. That's a fully operational, but the dock would be completed by December 23, Jan 24. So we are at that stage. But a full commissioning, and in fact, we have taken orders, we have taken projects which will go into that new dock by June of 2024.
You're also betting heavily on exports and international ship repairs. I think you're spending close to 660 crores on a new facility coming up there. Give us a sense of what is the kind of opportunity that you see for international ship repairs, given the fact that you are on the western side, and that makes you a good strategic point for any vessels coming in for repairs easily.
I see ship repair again. We have our sights on the international ship repair market. As we are speaking, we are really unable to even handle the Indian market because there is enough potential, and the Indian ships are actually going outside for repair. So with the new facility, which we call the ISRF, which is coming up in 2 acres of leased land in the Cochin Port Authority area, and that project also is in advanced stages. We expect that project also. It's a ship lift based project, ship lift and 6 workstations. We expect the ship lift and 2 workstations to be commissioned in December 2023, and the initial part of the operations will start, and the full-blown operations will be another 4 to 5 months thereafter, so around May of 2024. The large ship lift components are all in Cochin, and the ship lift platform, which is a 130-meter long platform, is, as we are speaking right now, is under sea transit from Vietnam to Cochin. Now, once we have all these facilities, in addition to our facilities, ship repair units in Mumbai, Kolkata, and Port Blair, we feel ship repair is a very significant growth possibility for us. Coming to the international ship repair part, see, the most important part is we need to give them assured slots. With our new dry dock also coming in, we may be in a better position to offer assured slots. But this is something which we are still watching this space and probably don't want to discuss too much on this because, see, if the shipbuilding market goes good for us, the European shipbuilding market goes good for us, which we are seeing is looking good. At least for the initial few years, the new dry dock, which is actually a dual-use dry dock, shipbuilding and ship repair.
Yeah, we're trying to reconnect with Mr. Nair. Mr. Nair, we lost you for a few seconds. So you're talking about the international ship repair opportunity which was there.
I was saying the international ship repair, we may wait and watch a little bit more because we need a large dry dock or a floating dock for that. So the large dry dock is coming in Cochin. But the shipbuilding possibilities today look pretty strong. So we may want to really look at the shipbuilding possibilities first, and then only look at the international ship repair possibilities directly. But as I can also say that without getting into specifics, We are looking at least a couple of other locations in India in joint participation with other interested entities, ports, to try and set up what we are calling ship repair clusters. And this is also in line with the vision and the thought process of the government of India in this direction, because overall, the Indian ship repair market is actually grossly undervalued. There's a huge potential that the Indian ship repair market can. So ship repair looks strong, but as we are speaking, straight away we are not jumping into the international market. If there are a few projects coming in, we'll take it, but largely there is enough in the Indian market to handle.
Sir, give me a sense of the kind of pipeline that you are, because I was looking at your presentation. You said nearly 9,245 crores of pipeline is there, which includes advanced stage and RFPs. When do you expect some kind of certain, the orders kicking in or letter of intent, LOIs coming to you?
On the shipbuilding side?
On the shipbuilding side?
See, on the shipbuilding side, as I said, two projects are already underway. The bids have been submitted, and typically the defense projects goes through approximately an 18-month cycle to get into a contract stage. So, whatever is in the works now, it could be at least 12 months from now to see the initial set of orders coming in. But there would be more. There are these expected LPD, the next generation corvettes, the FICs, the first interceptor vessels. So there are various projects coming in, and we are working on practically all of those. We have our strategies for bidding against each of those. But as would be expected, the other competing shipyards in India are also looking at this. So we're keeping our fingers crossed. But then the earliest contract could be 12 months down.
Mm-hmm. Sir, you mentioned that as much as 35,000 crores of projects are in the RFI and mid stage. Can you give us an idea of what kind of projects these are, and when do you expect some movement coming in these projects?
Say large projects are the LPD, the landing platform docks, which is expected to be 4 vessels. Then the next generation corvettes would come in. The OPVs come in. There would be about 100 plus smaller vessels called the FICs. Then there are other projects also which are about 20 numbers kind of vessels. So all these RFI, RFPs would be over the next say within 6 months to 12 months. This is the indication we are having as we are moving forward.
Sir, your peer at Garden Reach was telling us that in the next 5 years, you're going to see orders worth 1.2 lakh crores coming the way of shipyards and shipbuilders like you. Is that a big opportunity, and are you geared for that kind of opportunity?
I didn't touch upon the submarine opportunities also, because as Cochin Shipyard, we are not looking at the submarine building opportunity. We feel there are others who may be better positioned than us in that space, and we feel as an organization we have to be prudent. We know what our strengths are. We go for areas where we feel we have the right to win, and I think the large the projects which I mentioned, the naval defense projects on one side, the European green shipping and functional vessels on the other side, and the strong ship repair opportunities. These would be the areas which we would largely look at. We would also look at moving up the value chain in certain advanced technology vessels and newer technologies. So these would be the areas which we are sure that no organization can play all over. According to us, that wouldn't be fully wise. But yes, the potential is fairly large in the Indian defense space. There are players with varied strengths, and we feel that maybe the best shipyard takes the best orders.
Sir, You've entered into the naval weapons, repairs and the AMC's part. Is that a big opportunity coming to you?
We feel that's a way to go for various projects. We also feel that could also be in line with the thought process within the defense forces, because they would also like to see specialization and experience being leveraged again and again. So we have done a one-off AMC contract recently. I'm not in a position to discuss much on that for confidentiality reasons, but then let's say that's a 5-year AMC project for a platform. And we're also happy to, as I mentioned, this particular uh, destroyer, the frigate project, which is getting re-engined and significantly upgraded, the 300 crore plus project which I mentioned. That's if that experiment goes well between us and the Navy, then I think the defense forces would also be looking at more such opportunities, so that there could be life extensions for many of the competent platforms.
Sir, as a shipbuilder, one of the largest shipbuilders in the country, how much of emphasis and uh, work is being done on innovation and also indigenization of parts and products and engines going forward?
Let me talk about innovation first. See, we are now a 50-year-old organization, and having strongly been involved in various spaces in the European market now exactly 20 years. In 20 years, about 50 vessels delivered into the European cluster. We understand what the global market is seeking and what is the kind of quality requirements being sought. Uh, Also, coming to the defense side, with the indigenous aircraft carrier and the kind of impetus that is built in, I think the most important part is it's shown what can be achieved in this country when people come together. Also, it silenced a lot of skeptics who felt that this country can't do it, or even if you do it, probably it's not been done the right way. There are always naysayers in the system. I think the naysayers have been silenced. That we could deliver a world-class aircraft carrier, minus Vikrant, and within a year of operation, 2nd September last year is when Honorable Prime Minister commissioned the vessel into the Indian Navy, and we just completed 1 year of INS Vikrant. And INS Vikrant, I'm not working on behalf of the Navy, but my understanding is the carrier has achieved almost all its operational requirements, and that's to the high credit of the Indian Navy and the Indian industry's prowess, that within a year, an aircraft carrier of this size has gone through the entire process. So the confidence level is extremely high. Now, where did this confidence come in? This confidence came in from strong engineering strengths companies like us have. Many a times we have not leveraged it fully. And we think that as we move forward, Cochin Shipyard is determined to move into much more of a knowledge-based organization. 2021, we have created a new vertical. It's a new division. It's a small division at this stage, but we are giving it pride of place along with our shipbuilding and ship repair divisions. And it's called CSAS. C is for CSL, SAS is Strategic and Advanced Solutions. And we are here to offer end-to-end solutions. It's not just a product and then somebody else handles the other part. We will come in with the end-to-end solutions. And there are various things which you are working on. And one aspect on the commercial and the civilian side is the India's first hydrogen fuel cell vessel. We, along with the Indian industry and one of the finest tech companies in India, we are teamed up with a company called Kepit, who under the fold, under the group fold, is actually handling the fuel cell. It's a PEM fuel cell, and happy to inform that an all Indian PEM fuel cell, proton exchange membrane fuel cell. And as we are speaking, the final integration trials is happening on the fuel cell. Once that is done, along with the Indian Register Shipping, then we are all passionately working on this. Once that is done, we expect the vessel We are already in September, end of this month, just getting into next month kind of a thing. We will have this vessel operational initially in Kochi, and if we are confident over the next 3 months, we deploy it in Varanasi so that the country and the world can see it at large. And if it goes, if the initial few months of feedback is good, we're also parallelly contemplating how we can roll it out much more within the country. But this is a hydrogen fuel cell vessel, all Indian technology. So thoughts came from the CSIR, companies like Kepit, with strong impetus in the mobility space, global company has taken it to the next steps. We, along with Kepit, IRS, we have marinized it. So there are various others involved. There are at least a couple of Indian battery makers involved. And tomorrow we'll have this entire ecosystem in India. So it's a small project, it's a pilot project, but the components are all there. And we expect these are all things under the Pradhan Mantri's National Hydrogen Mission. While I'm a strong believer, one day hydrogen and hydrogen derivatives will be available at scale and at cost, competitive cost. And at that point of time, we'll be ready. From a shipyard perspective, we'll be ready.
Sir,
so this is on the hydrogen fuel cell side.
Sir, my final question to you. You spoke about green shipping. There is a proposal which is there to enhance financial assistance to 30%. Can you give us some details about it? How is it and going to work out, and what kind of benefit shipyards like you will have?
You see, the large thought process within the government is green shipping must be promoted. You're aware that India has a financial assistance policy for shipbuilding to enhance and support shipbuilding. So hybrid vessels will get an enhanced percentage of support, and green vessels, which is if it's fully green, like if it's a hydrogen or it's a methanol vessel or it's a ammonia fuel vessel, would I wouldn't want to talk on behalf of the government of India. It's their prerogative, but then you mentioned a figure. It's around that figure, which we understand is being discussed. So once this comes in, it's going to be a very strong booster for the Indian shipbuilding industry and smaller MSME shipyards. There are opportunities in Europe. Like today, we have rolled out the Cochin Water Metro. People have not fully understood what exactly this is. When the Cochin Water Metro is completed, 75 vessels, green vessels, there is nothing like this anywhere else in the world. And we're not talking just first in class in India. This is actually first in class in the world. So once that pride comes in and once we see belief, then I think there are enough areas in India, and I can only touch upon that this is being strongly discussed under my ministry, under the Ministry of Port Shipping and Waterways. How do we leverage urban water mobility or rural water mobility across various river systems and water connected cities in India? So I think we are looking at exciting times.
Sir, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for joining us on BQ Prime today. We got a good insight from you on the shipbuilding industry and what Cochin Shipyard is doing. Thank you very much for joining on BQ Prime.